hope you're good today. I'm a Christmas tree again today. Can you see my star? Just about. And I've got lights and decorations. I hope you like it. It's very silly. I've got another lovely Christmas story to read to you today. It's in this lovely book called Story Chest, and it's got 100 bedtime stories in it. And this one's called Snowtime Express. The snow came down all through the night, down, 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 all through the quiet night. In the morning, when Johnny woke up, he looked out of his window. The whole world was white. Yippee! Cried Johnny. Where's my sledge? Across the street, Carol looked out of her window. What a surprise! Carol had never seen so much snow. Hooray! Cried Carol. Where's my sledge? Mothers and fathers were busy looking out of windows too, up and down the street. They were looking out at the snow. But the fathers didn't say, yippee. No, indeed. They shook their heads and said, no cars today. It will be hard to get to work. The mothers did not say, hooray. The mothers were thinking, Mr. Vic will not be able to send us any food from his store. Mrs. Nally lived next door to Johnny. She had a little baby. Oh dear, said Mrs. Nally, how will I get a box of baby food for little Tommy? Mrs. Dorman lived next door to Mrs. Nally. She was taking care of her two little grandchildren. Oh dear, said Mrs. Dorman, not a bit of bread in the house today. How can I get some bread? Down the street lived old Mrs. Green. She was very old. It was hard for her to walk. She looked out at the snow and said, oh dear, I did so want some cheese for my lunch today. Johnny was the first one out with his sledge. Then came Carol out with hers. She came slowly through the deep snow to play with Johnny. Here she is looking out of her window. First, they pulled each other on their sledges, and then they tried to run with their sledges and get a ride. Then they tied the two sledges together and played that they had a sledge train. Soon Johnny's mother came out. Johnny, she said, do you think you could get all the way down the street to the store? We need some lunch meat today, and Mr. Vic can't send it. Johnny looked down the street. How deep the snow was. I don't know, he said. Maybe you can go on your sledge train, said his mother. Johnny looked at Carol. Carol looked at Johnny. Yippee! Cried Johnny. Let's go. Here comes the Snowtime Express. And off they went. Let's make stops like a train, said Carol. So they made a stop. They rang Mrs. Nally's bell. Snowtime Express, going to Mr. Vic's, said Johnny. Do you want us to bring anything for you? Oh, yes, yes, said Mrs. Nally. Please bring me some baby food for little Tommy. Toot, toot, said Johnny, and the sledge train went on its way. Let's make another stop, said Carol. They made another stop. They rang Mrs. Dorman's bell. Snowtime Express, going to Mr. Vic's, said Carol. Do you want us to bring you anything? Oh, yes, said Mrs. Dorman. Please bring me some bread. Toot, toot, said Johnny. All aboard. And the sledge train went on its way. Let's make one more stop, said Carol. So they made one more stop. They rang old Mrs. Green's bell. Snowtime Express, going to Mr. Vic's, said Johnny. Do you want us to bring you anything back? Oh, yes, yes, said Mrs. Green. Please bring back some yellow cheese. Toot, toot. The Snowtime Express went on its way to the store. It had to go slower and slower as it got down the street. Carol and Johnny took turns pulling and pushing. Sometimes the sledge train got stuck in the snow. One time Johnny had to pull and pull. He gave a hard pull and Carol tumbled right into the snow. The sledge train stuck again near the store. This time it was Carol who pulled. She pulled and pulled. Then she went on. But where was Johnny? Sitting in the snow. Wait for me, cried Johnny. At last they got to the store. Toot, toot, they cried. Here comes the Snowtime Express. What a surprise for Mr. Vic. "Well, well," he said, "a sledge train is just what I need today." He got a box and tied it onto the sledge. There they are in the shop. What a good idea. Into the box went the baby food and the bread and the cheese and the meat. "There," said Mr. Vic. "You can take out one thing at a time. The box will stay on your train." "All aboard!" cried Johnny. "All aboard!" cried Carol, and the Snowtime Express started back. Slowly, slowly, the sledge train made its way back up the street. First Carol pulled and Johnny pushed. "Toot, toot, clear the track!" cried Carol. Then Johnny pulled and Carol pushed. "Out of the way for the Snowtime Express!" cried Johnny. It was hard work, but lots of fun. "Toot, toot!" cried Carol. "First stop at Mrs. Green's." How happy Mrs. Green was with her yellow cheese. "Thank you," she said. "That's the best train running today." Toot, toot! The next stop was at Mrs. Dorman's. How glad she was to get the bread. Then the train stopped at the Nally house. "Thank you, Snowtime Express," said Mrs. Nellie. "Now, little Tommy, we'll have a good lunch." The last stop was at Johnny's house. He ran in and gave his mother the lunch meat. When he came out again, Carol said, "Look, Johnny!" In the box on the sledge train was a white paper bag. "Say, what's this?" asked Johnny. "We made all our stops, didn't we?" "Yes," said Carol. "I guess Mr. Vic made a mistake." But it was no mistake. Carol and Johnny opened the bag. There were 2 lollipops in it, 2 big lollipops. One red one said, "For Carol," and one green one said, "For Johnny." So Carol and Johnny sat down on the Snowtime Express and ate their lollipops right then and there. I hope you enjoyed that story about the sledge train. That was super, wasn't it? Have a lovely day.